If I must starve, let it be in your arms. By Ignium 807. Chapter 7. They break camp to the tune of Jaskier's humming. Eskel puts out the fire. He slides on his armor, swords heavy across his back. It's a bright, brilliant spring morning, the air itself alight with new life. Eskel helps Jaskier onto the horse and drapes an arm around his waist. It feels right. A few hours of riding brings them to a collection of homes. Too small to be called a village, but small or not, they have a monster problem. The townspeople speak of hideous shrieks and a beautiful woman who turns their dreams to nightmares. Bruxa. He meets with the town's leader, a wizened old woman who invites him to her home. "Can you help us, Witcher?" Most vampires are affected by the sun, but not Bruxas. It's a blessing that Eskel can deal with these in daylight. "I can." The woman bows her head in thanks. "We don't have much here to pay you with, but we can feed and house you for the night. Your bird, too." It's more than Eskel was expecting. He agrees with ease and goes to find Jaskier. The bard is sitting beneath a tree, playing a shorter, tamer version of one of his adventure ballads for the group of children that have gathered around him. How he manages to stir up crowds so quickly is beyond Eskel. He explains the situation, and Jaskier leaps to his feet, singing abandoned. "What are you doing?" Eskel demands. "Coming with you, obviously." Eskel is about to argue when Geralt's words from that winter echo back to him. The fucking idiot doesn't know what's good for him. Can't keep him away from battles unless I tie him down. Last time I tried that, he sulked for a week. Maybe not then. Surely Jaskier will stay far enough away from the fight to protect himself. He's not crazy. Jaskier is crazy. It's an hour later, deep in the woods, when a beautiful dark-haired woman strides out from behind a tree. Eskel doesn't see her, not until it's too late. All he hears is Jaskier say, "Well, hello. Are you lost?" Followed by a piercing, monstrous scream. Eskel whirls just in time to see Jaskier fly backward, propelled by the Bruxa's wail, his spine clenching as it collides with a tree. Red sweeps across Eskel's vision, his body quakes with rage, and he launches himself forward, casting Quen to block the monster's second scream. She dances away from the edge of his silver sword into the underbrush. They crash. Decades of training, the only thing that stops Eskel from tripping. There's an anger in his veins that he hasn't felt before. The Bruxa screams again and he deflects it, but all he can really hear is the snap on Jaskier's body, hitting hard with the little whimper he let out when he fell. The Bruxa comes at him with her claws. She's agile and fast. He's faster. Eskel spins out of the way. He lets the Bruxa sail past him and catches her in the stomach, mid-leap, silver slicing through her viscous form in a single blow. The monster falls, and Eskel is at Jaskier's side before her body hits the ground. "Jaskier!" he gasps out. His pulse is too fast, almost that of a normal man's. He drops his sword on the dirt and kneels down, pulling Jaskier's head onto his lap. The bard's eyes flutter open as he groans. The wave of relief that washes over Eskel would have brought him to his knees if he weren't there already. "That lady," Jaskier murmurs wetly, "does not like me." Eskel bows forward until their foreheads are touching. His hands are fisted in the silk of Jaskier's chemise. It's a silly, ridiculous thing to wear on the road. Silly and so much like Jaskier that it hurts. He focuses on how it feels against his fingers, fearing that if he doesn't, the weight of fear on his back will crush him. "You idiot!" he chokes out. "Oh no." A hand reaches up to touch Eskel's face, and the voice that comes with it is soft. "I'm fine, Eskel. A nasty throat, maybe a scratch or two. Nothing less than that." Jaskier scoots away to sit up, but Eskel can't let go of him. He moves with the bard, pulling him up and onto his lap to hold him close, to make sure he's still whole. This panic, this fear in Eskel's bones is terrifying because of how new it is. He's used to monsters and blood, used to swinging his sword and accepting that maybe, just maybe this time he won't make it out alive. The path is what he was raised to follow, but this, going into a fight with the knowledge that it's up to him to keep Jaskier safe, he doesn't know how Geralt can stand it. Strong, unbroken hands tangle in his hair and tug. "Eskel, I'm all right." Sunshine seeps into Jaskier's smell, breaking through the metallic scent of pain. "In my defense, I didn't know that the very beautiful, very lost young lady was some kind of demon beast thingy." "Vampire," Eskel corrects. "Vampire.
Jaskier agrees. See, this is why all that witchery knowledge of yours is so helpful. I never would have guessed a vampire, what with the screeching at the claws and all. His voice is too jovial for someone who just got slammed against a tree. The absurdity of it breaks through Eskel's panic, and he hauls in a deep breath. Can you stand? Of course I can. Jaskier tries to get up, and his left leg collapses beneath him. Eskel catches him before he could fall. I can mostly stand. He could probably make it back to town without much trouble. Probably. Eskel isn't quite sure how fragile humans really are, and he isn't keen on finding out. He swings his sword into its sheath, picks Jaskier up as gently as he can, one arm under his legs, one behind his back, and begins the long trudge home. On the outskirts of a town in the heart of Aedirn, Geralt lops off a Kikimora's head. It slams to the ground, and the young woman beside it, who is about to become its next victim, pukes into the swamp water. Geralt waits until she's done, then offers her a hand up. To his surprise, she takes it. Rattled, she leads him back to town. Her family meets them at the road, throwing arms around their daughter and weeping with joy. The monster is dead. The humans are safe. Geralt turns to go. Wait! It's the mother. She is a tall woman, skin tanned from days spent working the fields. Her long hair is tied back with colorful ribbons, falling nearly to her knees. She approaches him with hesitance, but not terror. You're him, aren't you? The one the songs are about? Geralt does not know how to respond, so he simply stares. He's used to people knowing him, or at least his title. Butcher, killer, monster, mutant. You're the White Wolf, the woman says, and she throws her arms around him. The hug is brief and on Geralt's side stiff, but her scent is one of gratitude, of happiness, and Geralt soaks it in, stunned. She pulls away a moment later. Thank you, she whispers. We don't have any money, but... The woman reaches up to her hair and pulls away 2 ribbons, one black, one a rich purple. She presses them into Geralt's palm. For you and that bird of yours. May the gods lay blessings at your feet, Witcher. May they repay the kindness you have shown us this day. She returns to her family, leaving Geralt with Roach. He feels as though the world has collapsed beneath him, and he does not know how to stop it. He doesn't think he wants to. Geralt rides away. He returns to his life of fighting and killing, of being spat on in pubs and leered at on the streets, of longing for Jaskier wherever he is now. Geralt bears the insults. He walks the path. But next time Geralt tears apart a monster, there is a single black ribbon tied to the hilt of his sword. Are you sure? Eskel is perched on the edge of his chair, wary, but somehow also feeling like a chastened child, as the farmer whose house he's in sighs down at him. Certain. You've done us a great service, and your friend needs to stay off his leg for the night. We don't mind housing you, long as you two don't mind sharing a bed. We don't mind, Eskel assures her. At least, he doesn't mind. Jaskier probably won't either, and isn't that a thought? A human sharing Eskel's bed without fear or complaints. It's almost as much of a miracle as strangers taking them in for the night. Thank you. The farmer's face softens. Of course. That bird of yours works wonders. I swear he's got half the town eating out of his hand already. Eskel believes it. He thanks her again, then begs exhaustion, and goes to find his bard. Jaskier is stretched out on top of their bed for the night, leg above the covers, strumming idly at the lute in his hands. There isn't a tune, really, just music, and Eskel is grateful to have something that breaks the silence besides the roar of the fire behind them. How are you feeling? He asks, bending to check the bard's bandages. The cuts Jaskier got from his altercation with the Braxa weren't deep, but they still needed tending to. Eskel is careful as he peels back the cloth to look for infection, all too aware of his own strength. He can't stand the thought of pushing too hard and accidentally injuring Jaskier further, no matter how quickly he seems to be healing. Right is right, darling. Nothing I haven't dealt with before, and this mattress is lovely. Jaskier sighs dramatically, scooting back against the pillows. The bed is as nice as most inns, and certainly more comfortable than the dirt they slept on last night. I might sleep for a week after all this excitement, but that would be overstaying our welcome, and I'm nothing if not polite, really, so we must be on our way. And... Eskel, stop fussing! Eskel hadn't noticed he was fussing, but he is. He's fiddling with the loose edge of one of the bandages and digging sharp fingernails into the meat of his thigh. Sorry. Jaskier, for once, is silent. He catches Eskel's eye and keeps it there, filling the space between them with unspoken meaning. It's so tender, Eskel can't take it. He feels his years of trained stoicism slip away under cornflower blue eyes. Stripped bare, seen and understood, but not judged. A question spills past his lips unbidden. "Why?" The bard raises an eyebrow. "You're going to have to be more specific, dear, because that might be the vaguest thing I've ever been asked, and I travel with Geralt." Eskel wants to tear his eyes away, to hide. He can't. Flickers of light from the fire dance in Jaskier's eyes, mixing there with fond confusion. "Why do you stay in this life with Geralt? Why ask to travel with me when all it means is rough nights outside and bad meals and... Eskel's fingers dig into his thigh as deep as they can go without ripping the material. "Why are you here?" Jaskier regards him with something akin to sadness in his eyes. But there's something warm there, too. Something joyful. "Why do I stay with Geralt?" he echoes. "Because I love him, as deeply as one soul can love another. I would take a sword to the heart any day if it kept him safe, and I know he would do the same for me. How could I not stay for love like that?" "But," Jaskier shakes his head, and the protest dies on Eskel's lips. "I won't lie, I don't love the rough nights. They're not as bad as they used to be, though. Geralt has gotten better at staying in inns, and at bringing more comforts with us to make the road less unpleasant. But that's not what you were asking." He reaches down to take Eskel's face in his hands, those eyes holding the witcher still as any spell, and slips his fingers into the violent grip Eskel has on his own leg. "Why am I here? For adventure. For stories. I am here to let the world tear me open and spit me back out how it pleases, because I cannot imagine a better way to live." Eskel is shaking, falling apart here in the arms of the most foolish bard he has ever met. Foolish and brave, too perceptive for his own damn good. Eskel holds himself up on shaky arms and watches the firelight dance in Jaskier's eyes. "This life will burn you," he whispers. Jaskier tugs just once and Eskel collapses. His body falls against his will. His arms grasp at Jaskier desperately, hungrily, and he buries his face in the bard's hair, pulling him close as though Eskel can protect him. Arms come around him in return, strong and warm and unafraid. Jaskier's lips ghost over his ear as he speaks his answer. "If this life is doomed to burn me, dear witcher, I shall light the pyre myself."